You can see my trail camera is 5 feet off the ground. There's the picture. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. Yep.
And it looks like an ear and a side of a head.
Yep.
In the picture.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sasquatch Outpost podcast, and we are episode 53 tonight. And after a departure last week from our main theme, we're back to Bigfoot tonight in a big way, and I'm really excited about this podcast. Steph and I are awaiting our first massive winter storm, which we've needed, but just before the show, I looked at the weather forecast. Throw that header up here, Steph. This is what the forecast is for the next 2 days. I don't think we're going to get 48 inches. I hope we're not going to get 48 inches, but we need the snow, and that's our only protection from fire in the summertime is to have enough snow that it sits on the ground. The only problem this time of year is the snow is heavy. It's full of water, and this is when the power lines go down because trees fall. And so I was out getting my firewood for my wood stove and trying to crank my emergency generator, making sure everything looks good. So I'm ready. Bring it on. Bring on the snow. I'm ready for it. Let's see, a couple of things before we jump into the show tonight. The Bigfoot Adventure Weekend in July is officially sold out. So this is about the time of year that we sell out, which is amazing for an event that's going to be in July that we're already got no more tickets. So for those who wanted to be in it and aren't, I'm sorry. I did warn you that the tickets sell out, but every year we've done this. I think this will be our 5th year. Every year we've done this, we've had a Sasquatch encounter. And so I'm hoping we're going to keep the same record going, and it's going to be a lot of fun at the end of July. Keep on checking out, if you're interested, checking out the Sasquatch Outpost website and Rabbit Hole Adventures, which is where you'll go to sign up for any of the expeditions we got this summer, camping trips and the horseback trips and the night hikes around Bailey. We've got quite a few options, so there should be one that'll fit your schedule. I hope so. Let's see. I think that's all I wanted to talk about tonight because spread the salt. Make sure you got your ice melt handy because you're going to need it. I'm pretty sure. So my guests tonight are some guys that I found thanks to Wayne. Wayne is my research partner and my video researcher. So Wayne gets online and finds everybody. And so he told me about these guys. And I went and started watching their videos, and just fell in love with what they're doing. Honestly, these guys are awesome. They have a lot of fun. They're very real about what they're doing, which I appreciate. And they are all from North Carolina, but I'm going to have them introduce themselves here. So let's go ahead and bring in the Squatch Watchers. Steph. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks.
How's it going?
We got Dave and Tate and Taylor. Toby apparently was not able to make it this evening, but if he happens to show up, we'll bring him in. So,
cool.
Listen, I am thrilled that you guys are here. It means the world to me because I know you got schedules and families and everything else. So thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having us, Jim.
And I would love for our folks who are watching to just get to know you a little bit. So why don't you just in turn tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got into Bigfoot, and then how you guys formed what you've got going with the Squatch Watchers, which I don't even know that story. So I'm eager to hear it.
So who goes first?
Whoever wants to go first.
I say David go first, and Taylor, then me.
Okay, go for it, Dave.
I've always been into cryptids as a young man, living out in the middle of nowhere in Mooresville, North Carolina. Grew up really poor, no indoor plumbing, that type thing. And so, going out in the dark at night, scared to death because I had seen the legend of Boggy Creek.
Hey,
the
that's
FAL
what got me
Monster.
going too.
Yep. So, from a little guy all the way up until about maybe 15 years ago now, really got invited on a Bigfoot hunt. I was talking, I didn't believe, let's prove it to me, and I got to go. I was, not expecting to find anything. Got a little glimmer of evidence at the very end of the night. And I was like, holy cow. And then, along comes Taylor. We become fast friends. Then comes Tate. We become fast friends. And now we're a family. So there you go.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay. Well, you want me to go now?
Go for it, Taylor.
So I'm Taylor Cook. I'm Taylor Cook. I'm from Hickory, North Carolina. Always been told Bigfoot stories ever since I was a kid from my mom's side of the family. Pretty sure they were probably made up ones at the time just to keep me into it when I was a kid. But
Boogie Monster.
The
Boogie
Boogie
Monster.
Booger. Yeah. And so later on, I got into hanging out with this guy named Daniel, and he said, man, there's a local crew that goes out and does Bigfoot investigations. I was like, that piques my interest because I remember as a kid, you always get those stories, and then you've always seen the footage, and I'm like, man, Bigfoot would be cool if it was real. Because I started out skeptic. I was like, it would be cool if it was real. I'll go.
If only it was real.
Yeah, if only it was real. I was like, that'd be really cool. And so I go, and I'll get over he told me, make sure you wear camouflage. I'm the only one that shows up in pure camouflage. David's dressed like Indiana Jones. These other guys are dressed like computer nerds and everything. And we're just like, man, this is wild. So we go out, and David gives, we're doing these calls and knocks, and David gives a yell. And all of a sudden, David don't think I was here this night, but I was here. I was there. I remember like it's yesterday. David there's stuff going crazy. David gives a loud yell. A donkey enters back. No, the Bigfoot yells back, and the donkeys go crazy.
Oh, wow.
And I would always tell Tate, so then I've made my first tree knock, and then a rock got thrown over our head, and I was addicted ever since. I know that there's something out there now, and I would always tell Tate, man, you got to come. Bigfoot's real. And I was like, I was skeptic. Bigfoot's real, man. You got to come. Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. I'm like, man, you got to come. And then I was like, actually, we got an opening, because this is when the Squatch Watchers formed. It was me, David, and Toby at the time. And I was like, man, we've actually got an opening. One of our guys just quit. Well, he followed a different path with church and youth pastor, so he had to leave the group.
Yeah.
And so I finally get Tate to come in after I twisted his arm, and that's where he can take it over.
And how long ago was that, Taylor?
gosh, 2011, 2012,
It's been a minute.
See, y'all
Yeah,
been
yeah,
together
yeah.
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe 2010, actually. 'Cause
Okay.
I just graduated high school. But yeah, go ahead, Tate.
Well, for me, I've always been like an outdoors type guy ever since I was a kid. I love being outside. Big sports guy. I love football, basketball, baseball, golf, and most of those you can play outside, so that's just a plus. Loved hunting. I love being outside and in the woods trying to hunt, game, deer, turkey, or duck, all that good stuff. So as a kid growing up, the famous, the Michael Jordan, if you will, Bigfoot, the Patterson-Gimlin footage, that was always intriguing to me. Just the pictures, the still images, the video, and all that good stuff. That always interested me, and that's where my Bigfoot interest began.
You didn't know that was a guy in a suit?
Well, funny you say that. We've shocked quite a few people at conferences and stuff. We kind of say we're on the fence about it because we have X, Y, and Z saying it is a guy in a suit. So jury's out. But
No, I'm joking. I'm convinced it's real, but I'm just giving you a hard time. Because that's what everybody does that to us.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories going both ways. So,
I know.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Like we're a group. We don't like to just say something's fake. We leave it up to the audience to decide because we're all a community at the end of the day. That's what we try to express in our videos and shorts, that we're a community. But so growing up, as far as cryptids go, I like dinosaurs. So my favorite cryptid was Loch Ness Monster. But obviously, I'm not in Scotland. I never have been in Scotland. Lord willing, I get to go one day. But I had to kind of settle for Bigfoot. You know what I mean? No, I'm kidding. But so Taylor has been my best friend since we were kids in T-ball, growing up through school and all that. We've been through heartbreaks together and great stuff. Taylor's been down out a few times. I had to cheer him up.
Tate used to follow me around like a lost puppy.
No, but so
that's awesome.
Yeah, Taylor and I grew up as best friends, and during high school, we got into like movies and TV, like independent stuff, and we just always we both loved the idea of making like some type of content, like videos, being on camera and stuff, and doing that type of thing. And we fell in love with that. And so, like Taylor said, the Daniel guy got him hooked up with David and the old landowner we used to go investigate with, Rex, and they had a whole group and a local TV station, all that good stuff going on, investigating Bigfoot. And Taylor would call me every single night on Friday nights and be like, man, this and this happened this week. You got to come. And the infamous story of how Taylor and everybody else ran and jumped in their cars and locked themselves in their cars when this thing just loud, screeching, bone-shattering yell, and Dave's just standing there almost face to face with it, and everybody else runs in the car
and leaves you out there.
Yeah. So
they met me and I taught them how to be men.
Oh yeah. So
there you go.
So after that story and a few more, Taylor's trying to get me to come. I'm finally like, you know what? Why not? Because the biggest thing I had trouble getting over is this was in our backyard. I just didn't think Bigfoot would be here because, we think Bigfoot, you think back to the Patterson-Gimlin footage. You think back to the West Coast Bigfoot, Oregon, Washington State, California.
And way back in the middle of nowhere. That's where they live, right?
Exactly. So
where Tate lives.
Yeah.
That's where you live, Tate, in the middle of nowhere.
Road, yes. But so, the funny thing about that, though, is all animals, all living beings migrate. So why can't Bigfoot migrate to the East Coast? So, I went the first time, had a rock throwing experience that I can't explain to this day where, they showed me how to communicate with Sasquatch in a sense of throwing rocks. He said, so David and them told me, take a few rocks on the trail, throw them into the woods at this big valley thing and see what happens. So we're standing there. 2 minutes goes by. You hear.
I knew you were going to say they threw one back.
Yep, flying over our heads. And mind you, the direction they're coming from, no one can access. It's just like a deep valley, ravine, all that good stuff, down trees. I mean, if you go in there, you're either going to get snake bit, eaten up with ticks, or you're going to fall off a cliff and die.
You got to get through the briars first.
There's no way a human being could be in that area that the rocks are coming from. I was like, this. And last time I checked, you bear experts out there, bears don't throw rocks. So I'm like,
people say they do. And I'm like,
I was like, this
a bear throw a rock? Come on.
Yeah, this has to be something. So, long story short, I got hooked that night, got into it, and then, obviously Taylor was my best friend and brother, but I actually got to meet and adopt 2 more brothers and best friends in David and Toby. And
Amen. Thank you, brother.
these three guys right here, we've been through hell and back together. I wouldn't trade them for anything, and I would take a bullet or anything for them. Like, I love them to death. They're my brothers. You know, they're family. They're as close or maybe even closer than some of my family. So I love them to death. And we've been on so many adventures and so many adventures to come. And we have so many stories. I mean, we can sit here for days and talk about everything we
Yeah.
Well, we're going to sit here for a bit anyway, but yeah, I mean, so David, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Old enough to get the job done.
Okay. So I'll when the Legend of Boggy Creek came out, I was 10.
I was little.
Right? I was 10. And so I remember that movie. That was the movie.
I'm
I look
younger.
back to that, and yeah,
I was microscopic.
you were a twinkle in your mama's eyes. But
Yeah, y'all weren't even thought of yet, fellas.
No. But I remember watching that and thinking, now they never called it Bigfoot or Sasquatch. They just called it the Boggy Creek Monster. But it took me
Falk Monster. The Falk Monster.
Falk Monster. And I remember years and years later thinking, wait a minute. I'm looking back on that movie. That was a Sasquatch. That had to be a Sasquatch. But I don't think Sasquatch was being used at all. And Bigfoot really was only being used in the starting in the early 60s. So, yeah, that was the movie that got me hooked, I think, even though it scared me to death. I don't know about you.
Mm-hmm.
That scared
Oh,
me.
that was it for me. That was it. As far as I was concerned, that was a real life, true documentary. Okay. I honestly thought that they had video of Bigfoot filmed from back in the day, where the kid walks up and finds him there in the woods.
Yep.
And, takes a shot at him and it lets out that scream. That was it. I'm like, no way. I'm holding my poop till I turn 21 and get my own home. I'm not ever going outside again.
Yeah. Remember when
it scared me to death.
Puts its arm through that trailer window. And
yep.
I was afraid to walk past the window at night for years. I'm thinking,
yep, brother, it terrified me.
Yeah. And the cat that got scared to death, they said.
Yes.
They found the cat outside and they said it just died of fright. So, no, that was, and the thing about that movie was almost everyone in it were the people who lived those experiences. They weren't actors.
Mm-hmm.
They were just normal folks. So it's not a professional Hollywood movie, but it's still a good movie, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was the documentary of the time. It was for what people could do. It was obviously low budget.
Yeah.
But did it ever work? It worked great.
It did, and it got people going for years and years, and you can still watch it. So
I have a copy of it right over there in my little DVD bin.
Yep, I do too. So yeah, I'm sorry Toby couldn't be with us, but you guys, so about 2012, you got together, something like that.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
It might even been before that. Okay, it's been a good while. I mean, it's been 12, 13 plus years or so. So, when you've been together as long as we have, it's like being married. We kind of forgot our anniversary, but we know we still love everybody. So.
There you go. Well, it's interesting because that's when we got started here. It was 2012 when we built when we renovated the Sasquatch Outpost, and everything kind of started then, really, because Finding Bigfoot came here to Bailey to do their Colorado episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another story for another day, because that's my story. But
quick question about that.
Yeah, go for it.
The episode where they were out there, is that the one where they went to the Indian reservation or had the tribal lady give them answers?
I don't think so. The one they did here,
I've got it mixed up, so I was just curious.
They had Moneymaker went out in Lost Creek Wilderness and did an investigation. And there's a guy. This is interesting. There was a guy that had a video that some Boy Scouts from Nebraska were on a trip to Colorado to do high altitude survival stuff. And one of the dads had this 8mm camera and took this video, 1962, took this video of what we believe was a Sasquatch. And it's horrible definition because it's 8mm, it's tiny little film. But he ended up donating that film and the video and the camera and everything to our museum. And I'm in the process of building a display, but it predates Patterson by 5 years. So it may be the first video of Sasquatch, but nothing like Patterson because it's
right,
way off. And, but yeah, he was kind of the centerpiece of that episode along with the testimonies of some of the folks. But, yeah, but we definitely have Sasquatch here for sure. So
I'll be right back.
Yeah. Have you guys ever wondered? I want to ask you this question. You know, I think, would you guys agree that Sasquatch has a language of some kind?
Yes.
100%.
Have you ever wondered whether Sasquatch in North Carolina speaks the same language as Sasquatch in Colorado?
I've always wondered that, but like
possibly, but with a little southern twang.
Yeah. Dave.
Super Dave. Go get an autograph.
Yeah.
That's
So,
down under.
yeah, we do. I have wondered that some because we were on a podcast a few years back, probably whenever we were first getting into it.
Uh-huh.
There was a group out of Texas, and they said that they had a snouted Bigfoot. So
Night Callers Bigfoot Radio.
Yeah. So they had like a snouted Bigfoot, and
What do
I
you
was
mean?
like they were claiming it had like a snout.
Oh, wow. Like a dog man or something?
I get because
Like a
that was
hybrid,
before
yes.
the dog man came on the
Okay.
scene, so it
Yeah.
could possibly be. Before I've really started getting into
Interesting.
and hearing about dog man. So
They were saying that their supposed Bigfoots were a lot meaner than what we were encountering here in North Carolina in our area. And my answer to that's always been they pick up on your vibes. They know your frequency, and if they feel like you're up to no good, they're going to treat you like you're up to no good.
But maybe people were confusing violent
you might be
encounters
right.
with Dogman.
You might be right.
They
Dan.
they
That's a
could
good
have.
point. That's a good point. I never thought about that. You might
2
be right.
years ago, I'd have said you were nuts talking about the dog man.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
No, not anymore. And I've
We have
seen
researched a lot
enough of your
on-
videos. Yep.
on just skinwalkers by themselves. Total new mindset.
Yeah. I don't want to meet a skinwalker, and I don't want to meet a dog man. Bigfoot, they're just, don't you think they're just different? I mean, what do you think the difference is between dogman and Bigfoot?
Aggression is the first thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because most times when you hear accounts of dogman, it's dogman attack. You never really hear about Bigfoot attacks.
Well, people call them attacks by Bigfoot, but it's usually not.
Yeah, it's a good old clickbait, if you will. as
Exactly.
what we like to say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, our thing is, if you're not clickbaiting, you're not interested. So what do you think?
yeah.
Have y'all seen the video? And this guy, he's got so scared he's already climbed into the back seat of his vehicle, and they're out camping somewhere. Like they ran and got in their vehicle, and there's one or two creatures, whatever they may be, and you don't see a whole lot, and then all of a sudden you see something kind of underneath the car mirror, side view mirror, peeking in at the car. And then maybe there's one up top. There's two different sets of faces and eyes. And if that's real, and I would have truly have been a little shaken up, but I would have got out of that vehicle. I want to know. But I can truly understand why they would say that was something aggressive, even if it was just being curious, because it scared the snot out of them.
I would have to clean my seat afterwards, I think. But they're, as y'all know, the stories about dogmen are usually violent. Have you ever heard the testimony by Matt Imch from Ohio? You guys need to look that one up. The most terrifying dogman story I've ever heard. And it happened in the city in an abandoned steel mill, but it's worth, and for our listeners, that's worth listening to. And it kind of gives you the feel for the way dogmen are, and it ain't the way Bigfoot is. So, But y'all tell us a little bit about what you do. I know, and I want to encourage my listeners to go check out Squatch Watchers, because they've got a lot of videos doing a lot of investigations. So, but just tell us, how do you know where to go? How do people find you? All those questions.
Well, so something I guess we have in common with you and very few researchers, we investigate the same location years now, and week after week after week, and
just on your own investigation.
Yeah, just on our own. And yeah, we'll go do house calls, because we really love doing house calls. We've actually got 2 planned the next 2 weeks. But that's where our main location is, and why it seems like we get so much activity, which we were talking before the show. It seems like once you hunt the same locations over and over, you get more activity. That's why we have so many videos, and we've got a lot of what we think is rock thrown at us. I mean, stuff has hit the side of us. But that's just me giving my input, and then Tate and David, you can take over too. Like, I'm just wanted to really put it out there that we're at the same location. That's probably why, just like you, we get so much activity compared to others.
Jeff said that Southern Squatch is way more polite. Yes, little Southern hospitality.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, but we started YouTube in 2017 just to try to see if we could make a global community for Bigfoot, because Bigfoot's one of them touchy niche areas where there's a lot of people that are interested in it or believe in it or have their own stories, but it's almost like back in the day you didn't hear about it as much because people were scared to talk about it, or they didn't know what the reaction was going to be. So we thought we'd be the guinea pigs and the punching bag for everybody, and just go out there and share our experiences.
Somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
sometimes
Jim,
you're the windshield. So
So let me ask Jim a quick question.
Sure.
So when you were young or growing up, how many people did you ever hear talk about Sasquatch in your communities or in your travels?
Well, because I grew up in Africa, so not nobody.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Nobody.
So crazy enough, we actually have a friend who grew up in a missionary family, and in the wilds and the jungles, and his testimonies are extraordinary to some of the creatures that he says he's encountered. And I have no reason to believe him. But it's everywhere. But in our neck of the woods here in North America, if you will, as a young man, people would say, "Oh, don't go over there on that side of the ridge, or don't go over there in that valley. The woolly booger will get you." They didn't say names of anything,
No.
and people didn't talk about their encounters because they did not want to be labeled as nuts, crazy, insane. People were not as open to the mindset that there could be some type of species, entity, supernatural form of a creature, beings, i.e. the cryptid world, whether it be Bigfoot, dogmen, whatever you want to call them. Okay. So the times have changed. Just via one, technology has allowed people to capture more evidence.
Right.
That lends people, some of these things have got me scratching my head going, man, if they fake this, I want to know how. This is incredible. So,
well, they had to have been having encounters. I mean,
they did.
You know how many encounters there are today? That had to have been going on forever. It's just like you said, nobody talked about it.
So in our area, one of the local lures, and it's where I first heard the term Sasquatch, is when they were talking about the Cherokee Indians. That was the name that they called Sasquatch. Tusalu, I think, is how you pronounce it. The slant-eyed giant. There was lots of different terms, but the lore and the folklore in our area is that the Cherokee tribe sat and communed with Sasquatch. So the word commune means communicated. So that means they both either spoke or understood one another's language. They just didn't sit around and do hand gestures and, play, rock, paper, scissors. They actually had a meaningful conversation. And so that's what gets us just excited about using different techniques to try to get them out to communicate with us.
Amen. And don't you hope one day that you'll be able to actually speak Sasquatch or have one of them speak? I mean,
Yes,
speak English,
absolutely.
something. I got so many questions I want to ask him.
So, and I'll tell this, and I don't want to hog it. I know Tyler wants to say something. I wish Toby would have been here years and years and years ago. I literally thought I was going, insane or crazy on the property we were investigating, because I felt like, I was the only one hearing a certain type of interaction. And as an investigator and as a researcher, I do not implant thoughts into people's heads so they can go out and just, be looking for that. If they experience it and come and they tell me their experience, it's more credible of what they had. Well, one night, I'm surrounded. I got three sides. I don't know what else to do. I'm by myself. We set up kind of a bait trap, if you will, to kind of lure these things out.
Were you
and
the bait?
It worked. I was the bait. And Toby and Tate or Taylor went on up to the top of the area by themselves, and there I was alone. But I could hear all three of them talking to one another. And you talking about, now that's unnerving, okay, to know that they're having a conversation about you.
Yeah.
And so I finally got my wherewithal, got up and just started walking, and I met up with Toby and Taylor. When Toby looked at me and said, "Did you hear them talking?" I nearly cried, because I thought I was the only one hearing it. You experience so much, it's overwhelming at times.
And it's words. They're speaking words. It's not just
language.
It
is a language.
If you were far enough away, I've thought I was listening to hikers, and I expected them to come around the corner, and there was nobody there. So it was just like we're talking right now. I just couldn't understand the words.
That's right. Yeah.
Jump in there, Tate. I'll be quiet.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just going to finish about, how we got started and what we're doing.
Yeah, go for it.
You still on that?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
You still.
So pretty much, we started YouTube and all that to get the topic of Bigfoot out there. What we realized was, after we got started trying to, make this channel, make these social media platforms and reach this community and build a community about Bigfoot, we opened a can of worms on the properties we investigate, because, the old thing is Bigfoot is flesh and blood, and it's like a humanoid hybrid monkey or whatever, evolution theory, whatever, like all that stuff. And come to find out, it was the total opposite. We can say from our experiences and even our documented content. So we're basically video documenters for the young kids out there, content creators, vloggers, whatever, about Bigfoot and the unknown. We say the unknown because the areas we investigate heavily on a daily, weekly basis, we don't own the land to. These are people kind enough to give us access to this land. And it, like David was referring to, there's Native American legend and lore in these areas. There's Bigfoot legend and stories in these areas from the family that has owned that land for generations upon generations and having activity and encounters with them. And so the area we investigate, we've had paranormal experience, alien experience, obviously Bigfoot after Bigfoot experience. And we have actually labeled our area as Skinwalker Ranch 2.0.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's where we're at right now.
The Bigfoot Underground.
And I'm not saying like we coined it or anything like that, but as far as I can tell, like as far as like YouTube Bigfoot researchers, we're like some of the first ones to bring in like actual ghost tech. And I know this sounds weird, but we brought in ghost tech, like high dollar spirit boxes that are custom made, and we've got stuff answering questions back immediately. And I mean, that's why. And I know, I don't know. We didn't ask you. I didn't get to ask you this, and I don't know about your followers and subscribers on your channel, but we're half and half. We're split down the middle with our subscribers on our channel. But we do think that now that we've got this stuff and we see some of these strange things that's happened whenever my wife was pure skeptic who came and started seeing the lots happening before we think that it could be some type of interdimensional. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a theory, and we believe in the Bible, and David has the fallen angel theory, and which I don't know. It blows our mind, but now we're all so addicted to our land now.
Yeah. I mean, who knows which theory is the right one either.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But I'm glad you mentioned the spirit box. Do y'all ever use a REM pod?
Yes, we
have. Yes.
Okay. which are really traditionally ghost hunting tools.
Yeah.
Right? Here's my question for you, because I've watched some of your videos where you guys are using the spirit box, and these things, whatever it is answering your questions directly.
Yes.
You know, and
I gotta kill chills.
and you guys are like, what? I mean, it's uncanny, the answers that you're getting. Okay, here's my question. I mean, who knows who that is that's talking to you? And is it a Bigfoot? Is it
bingo? Thank you.
Is it a spirit? What is it?
It's not that far-fetched to say it could be Bigfoot, because I mean, Bigfoot obviously has some type of supernatural abilities that we're not aware of, because
they get gone so quick.
Oh yeah. I'm convinced they disappear and appear, and so
okay. So Jim, back to the whole UFO video. If Taylor and them, that's going to be about 2 years ago. Maybe it's actually 3 years ago now. That video is 3 years old. There are 3 distinct things that happened that night. Bigfoot encounter. We actually see a real UFO that shocked us all. And the spirit box made me faint. Okay. The questions that were coming across, what we were asking, the answers we were getting were overwhelming for me. And it's unnerving. I suggest if you guys can go and watch that video, it will knock your socks off. And I'm gonna try to do this really quick. When you say they disappear quickly, you know, I have been giving thought to interdimensional. Everybody's like, oh yeah, they're interdimensional. And you don't want to dismiss people as being crazy or that's just nuts, because you know who knows what's possible.
Right.
So during a church service, my pastor was reading scripture, and it blew my mind. And I think the first scripture is in Genesis, and I can't give you the exact verse, but you can find it, where it says Lucifer was the little g god of 2 worlds. And then it says again in the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 4, God is basically asking Lucifer, says, what are you doing? And he says, oh, just walking up and down between the 2 worlds. Well, that right there cemented it for me. Being a believer, and you know, the Bible is true and it's 100% real. It does not lie. That gives me credence that if the fallen angels, Lucifer being a fallen angel, the book says that there were some angels that were so vile they were locked away in hell for all eternity, while others have the ability to walk between the 2 worlds. The 2 worlds being hell and earth. And my theory is, whether you know, believe it or not, I believe that Bigfoot, Sasquatch, is nothing more than a fallen angel that he's just doing what angels do. Okay. And the theory also goes into skinwalkers, because the Bible says, careful ye not know when you entertain an angel. Well, if you don't know, that means that they changed their form. So if they can change their form, that means they are a skinwalker, because skinwalkers change shapes, change forms. They're shapeshifters. Well, the Bible says angels have that ability. And for years now, I have gone, man, the people I was sitting here thinking were nuts were just really, they just knew stuff before I did.
Well, we are nuts. I mean, that's clear. but would you say that Bigfoot they are demons?
Okay, so great question. So one thing that I didn't realize is the war in heaven happened before the creation of the earth. Okay, I've learned all this, you know, later in life. What were demons before they were demons? They were angels.
Okay.
Okay. What do you call a best friend that punches you in the nose and cusses you out and becomes your enemy? You call him really ugly things, right? Well, this is a third of the angels that war against God and were cast out from heaven and became demons. I don't believe they were transformed from any other form that they were. I believe that they are what they are. And, you know, angels came in varying forms, if you will. And the Bible gives description of several ones, you know, cherubellum, the cherubs, and there's another one. The one with the 7 circles and the 100 eyes and the wing. Oh, just hearing the description of that angel is terrifying. And in all the descriptions of the Bibles, when angels appeared, never do you see where the people's like, hey, everybody gather around. There's an angel. Come over here and look at this guy. He's beautiful.
Check it out.
They were scared to death.
Yeah.
They hit their feet, bowed their heads, and they were just, please don't murder me, oh, ugly looking creature that you are. They were not beautiful beings like we think. Now, were some of them beautiful? Absolutely, but not all of them. And so to say that they're demons, that's just the word we gave them. We don't even know Lucifer's real name, okay? We know the titles that he's been given. So, because if you look up all the things that we call Lucifer, they're titles, they're not names. So just kind of giving you a little tidbit there.
I appreciate that. And I respect anybody's opinion, whether I share it or not, because you got 4 camps more or less. People that think they're an ape and nothing else, just an ape that's never been discovered, which I could go all day about why that's not true, but they're an ape. They are the Nephilim. They're an alien, and they're some kind of part human, part not human creature. And so, we should all be able to sit down, just like in politics. We should all be able to sit down and talk about this and say, well, I think this and I think this. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I think anybody listening, you're going to get folks who say, absolutely, that's what they are. And other folks say, man, that guy David is nuts. And so but there's room for all of us, really.
One of your good friends, we all of us had the pleasure of actually meeting and going on an investigation, and we wished we could have really controlled it better. But Ron, we met the James Bond of the Bigfoot world. Yeah. Okay, Ron Morehead, and we got to spend an entire weekend with Ron and do an investigation. And I wished we'd have gave Ron full control of the investigation and kicked the other guy to the curb just for the investigation. Not that we had anything bad against him. It's just, we're not used to inviting somebody into our sandbox and then being told what we can and can't do.
Yeah.
And the guy went nuts when the rocks started being thrown at us, and he kept accusing us of doing it. I said, I swear to you, we would not do that.
Yeah.
We're filming a documentary on our lives. Our testimonies are going to be tied to this thing. Why would we punk you? Yeah. And he still can't get over the fact that he had rocks thrown at him. So, but yeah. Ron Morehead shares a lot of the thought process that we came up with and didn't even know anybody else thought that way. So I've recently read his book and was awesome. Highly recommend that to your viewers.
Well, and Ron, for years and years, Ron never talked about the paranormal stuff that went on in the Sierras. He just talked about them talking. That was what he was known for.
Right.
But they had every weird, high, strange thing happen there that you can imagine. But what I love about Ron, two things. I'm sure you guys noticed this. One, he's got the most awesome voice. I mean, he's got this deep baritone voice.
Like Sean Connery.
Yeah. When Ron speaks, you're like, he's like E.F. Hutton. Everybody goes, huh? And he could be lying through his teeth, but you never think so, because he's just got this presence about him that I really appreciate. And he's one of the most sincere guys I've ever met.
Yeah, he's awesome. We really enjoyed hanging out with Ron.
Well, I'm with you there 100%. Where were you when you did that with him?
Our main location.
Here. That's your that's right. He lives in North Carolina now, doesn't
he? He's actually down in the Wilmington area. Yep. And through this documentary that we got kind of tied up with, we were able to meet Ron Morehead through that connection. Okay. And I mean, that was just what a thrill for us. I got to actually cook for Ron, so that just made my whole weekend. So
yeah, Ron's a superstar in this world. He's a superstar. So and he's respected by everybody, because Ron, you never hear Ron talk ill about anybody else.
Well, that's how it should be.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So shoot, just had a question and it left my head. Bang, gone. That train, that happens too often now, David. I'm 62, and the train comes in the station, and the train leaves the station, and I don't know what that thought was that was on the train, but it'll come back to me in a second. But listen, I've got I went through a whole bunch of your videos, and this isn't the best one. This is the one that I had the time to quickly cut a little bit and make a shorter video. But this is an when did y'all do this investigation?
This past fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year.
So, Stephanie, what I've done is I've just taken and just they're chronological, but I've just cut different clips and cut stuff out in between, just because there was a lot of talking and explaining and stuff, and we didn't have time for that tonight. But I just wanted y'all to tell us about that investigation and some of the things, because to me this was a good example. Maybe you didn't think so, but I thought it was a good example of what y'all try to do with people when you go.
Taylor, it's one of his top investigations. He wants more like this.
Okay, so let's just start, and then I'll tell you where to stop, Steph, and we'll just.
Steve Ferman, this is my wife Cindy. This is our home, and we're gonna go looking at Bigfoot, our guest, when we leave here.
I watched him with his flashlight walk around the field, so I knew he was going that way. And I was just standing there and looking at the deer, and I heard something, and I'm like, okay. And then I heard a distinctive.
Now it's pitch dark now. It's black. It's not.
So I took my phone out, and I cut the flashlight on, and kind of.
Yeah, she thought it was me.
Like this here, and I'm like, okay. And I heard it go again. I said, Johnny. I said, if that's you, it's gonna be a long ride home for you.
I'm a third of a mile away.
I said, quit playing, go get the truck and come on back.
And she watches this stuff, not on purpose, but she watches me watching stuff, so she knew something was up when she heard them knocks.
So I'm like, and then I hear crunching on the leaves, and I'm like, Johnny.
You didn't tell me that. I didn't know about the crunching. It must have been close.
Johnny, nothing. And I heard it go, and I'm like, holy crap. So I started talking loud. I said, okay. I said, we got a deer, and if it's what I think you are, it's yours. It's yours. I'm out of here. Hey, fresh kill.
So just so everybody understands, he had been out hunting. Is that right? Can you kind of set the scene?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
he actually had a kill, and he had left to go pull his truck down to load the deer up, there at the edge of the field.
So she was just kind of hanging out watching the deer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was guarding it.
And he took off. I mean, he wasn't anywhere around her when this was going on, I assume.
No.
He said it in the film that he was probably, not close, not quite a half mile away, but he was pushing it.
Yeah. Too far away to be hearing anything from him.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So let's listen a little bit more here, and then I think it'll switch.
Yours. I'm gone. Bye. And then I started singing. I'm like, okay, nervous. I really don't know. Panicking. My heart's beating. And I'm looking for truck lights, flashlight, something. Nothing. And I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go. It's yours. So I started walking. By the time I seen his lights coming around, I said, well, it ain't Johnny.
Yeah.
And he come and he said, what's wrong? I said, it's yours. Do what you gonna do. I'm getting in the truck and we're ready to go. He's like, no. Something's in the woods. Don't know what it is, but it don't. Well, if I'd have heard coming through them, if he, she, it, they, or them had come out of there, Jesus would have walked on soybeans.
Yeah, I want somebody local, even though you guys are right good ways away.
We show up.
You showed up.
Well, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
When you talked about the knots, were they hard or were they just like little light knots?
Love taps.
Oh no, it wasn't no love tap.
Reason
It sounded like, yeah.
The reason I was asking, it sounds like a juvenile. That's what we get a lot around where we are. It's almost like letting you know it's there, and it's playing with you.
So I'm gonna have you fast forward just a little bit to the next section. And so she's with this deer, but he also had this trail camera, right?
Correct.
That was already out there, I assume.
Mm.
They keep these trail cameras up. Him and his son actually have been hunting this property, and I'm going to make a number up for 15, 20 years. They know the owners and the farmers and different things, and so they're really the only ones that go down there by and large. Besides planting the crops and gathering the crops. So these things live update to their phones, and so they can see all kinds of activity and when people's there and what's happening. So when he gets something strange, all hours of the day and night, it's he's kind of curious as to what's going on, and your viewers will see here in just a second that he gets a very intriguing photo.
Yeah. So just play this little clip here, Steph.
Did not realize how sprawling this area is. You guys are going to get a chance to see a lot of video of just how much area there is to cover here. So we're here with John, and John reached out to us, as you guys will see during the interviews, because he has a very intriguing picture that was taken by this trail cam. And we're 222 miles from our normal hunt site. We drove here 3.5 hours to meet John and his wife, and we've heard their stories. They're highly credible, and we're going to try to figure out what this picture is all about today.
I've had a few things happen up here, but this picture kind of solidifies what I've been thinking was going on up here, because it's the back of the head, and as you can see, my trail camera is 5 feet off the ground. There's the picture. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. Yep.
And it looks like an ear and a side of a head.
Let's pause it here, Steph. Yep. So this is intriguing, and y'all were there and talking to him. What do you think this is, honestly?
I'll let the guys go. Go ahead.
I do see what looks like there could be an ear there. This actually was not taken the same night as they heard the
right. It was before that. Okay.
I think it was either before or after. I think it might have been
This,
after. But,
this would be after. This is towards the end of the season, or this is at harvest. Okay, so you're still in September here because you got corn. Yeah, because you get corn up. So
yeah,
because y'all have looked at this. I'm really curious to know what you think.
I do see what looks like an ear. I see what looks like it could be the back of a head of what he thinks. Could be how high it is on the ground. I don't think it's a deer. Somebody commented and said a moose. There's no moose in this.
No, that's the guy he sent the video to after we got done with it, because he knew this guy didn't BS and he really wanted his honest opinion. And the guy said, "Oh yeah, it's a moose butt." And I'm like, okay, well, we're in Durham, North Carolina. I can assure you there are no moose in the state of North Carolina. Okay.
Funny.
They only released elk in North Carolina 2 years ago, and there's maybe a grand total of 8 to 12. It ain't an elk either.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it looks like the back of a head and an ear. I mean, and the height of the trail camera, you could say it was one crouched down, or maybe, like Toby said, a juvenile, and it was kind of peeking out around the tree, and then notice it got caught or something and pulled back. We don't know, but it does look like the back of a head of a creature.
Well, the neat thing is, Jim, on this particular picture, and I'm going to tell you this to you the truth as I can remember it. Either the picture before, I think the picture before this, when it took, was nothing but a complete black picture. Okay, the flash did not go off, or there was something completely covering the lens that wouldn't even allow it to capture the flash.
Right.
And then immediately after that, it snaps this picture, and this picture only is something that's stepping into the cornfield. That camera, where it is at, is a minimum of 5 feet off the ground, maybe 5.5 feet. Okay. So it's capturing something at about at least the 6 foot level. I don't know. I can't sit here and tell you this is a Bigfoot. I can't. I don't know. This is a blonde creature, obviously.
Yeah, that's the
but that's
interesting thing.
clearly That's clearly an ear to me. That's clearly the nape of a neck to me. Okay. And does he have a cryptid on camera? I believe he has something that's unknown. And is this a dog man? Is this a skinwalker? I don't know. But that's not a butt. It's not a tail. It's not it's not a deer of any kind. I believe it is an ear. It has to be an ear. That's my belief. That's my opinion.
Well, and it's a little disturbing because it's not what you would expect a Sasquatch to look like. The coloring is really light. And so, but if it's not a Sasquatch, what in the world is it?
So the lady who lives directly behind me on the other street, her name is Penny. She actually, her and her husband sold their property up in Ohio because they were being harassed by a family of Bigfoot. And they would beat on the house, hoot, holler, moan, yell until they brought out their favorite snacks. And I always love to tell everybody it was popcorn and Pepsi. Okay. But she told me, she said there were varying degrees of Sasquatch. They were gray, brown, buff as in tan, black. She said there would be, 5 or 10 of them lined up at the edge of the woods, from little, juveniles to old, grandpa Sasquatches, if you will, in her description. So is this just a different color? Is it a different stage of its life cycle? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't either. Now, Steph, they talk a little bit more, but I want you to fast forward to the part where they get into the trees. Keep going. Right there. Go back a little bit. So y'all got into the woods and you found some stuff that we find here. That's what I found intriguing, is that you're quite a ways away from us. And and we find the same tree structures. So go ahead and let that run for a second.
Old break up there, but what climbed up in there? That's the only one that snapped up high. I mean, it's pretty high. Yeah. I wouldn't say no 20-foot Bigfoot, but
Or if it's trying to bend it.
Yeah.
And this one's crazy.
It's so weird. There's no pine trees, but there's little pieces of pine. Yeah.
Try to
Yeah.
It ain't been long. Have you had any storms lately?
Huh?
Have you had any storms?
None.
Yeah,
It ain't rained here in a week.
Little tree structure walking in. Perfect.
look at that. That's leaned in there.
Yeah, bowed in. Did you see this, David?
Just pause that there. So, yeah. How often do y'all see little structures like this?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. At properties we go to, and then the property we call home that we investigate on a weekly basis.
Interesting. And so they'll do new ones. They weren't there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're varying in size. They'll be that size. They'll be medium size, like at our level. And then there's some that are like gargantuan, just hanging over us. And they're giant trees that we can't explain how they've been bent over and tied together.
Well, I think as y'all go on here, there's a big, I'll just let the film speak for itself because this is crazy.
Yeah, there's
That's pretty cool. Nice find.
If you look right here, this tree is built behind this one, and then got a long blade across it holding that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I've never seen one bowed like that.
Yeah.
It goes
Makes a circle.
around, a circle into a pathway.
Yep, you got a pathway.
So that's all for that video. But yeah, so that tree, what made you think that wasn't just something that happened naturally?
Because that one was a bend I've never seen before. Like that one was like, it was like if you were to take a hula hoop and cut it in half and keep it sideways. It was like bent in like around this way instead of the normal bow. And it still had it was just wild. I've never seen
And it was tied in on the end there, wasn't it, guys? Because I wasn't with you when you found that. I was running interference.
Yeah.
So Do y'all? I mean, people ask me this all the time. I'm sure you get asked too. What do you think they mean with these things, these structures?
Food.
Territorial.
Yeah.
Territorial markings, yeah. We've went off the rails a few times and said there may be portals.
No, I've heard those theories too.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jim, Tate, tell them about what we find on our property and what happens on occasion when we dare to cross into them.
Okay, so right there's a perfect example. We have pretty good size ones, but nothing that huge that Taylor and Toby found down there when they went to Halifax. But on our property, we got decent size ones that you can go under. And on occasion, we'll go under them and we'll get weak or sick. And
really,
David, on a lot of occasions, has gotten sick to the point he's almost going to give out, like he can't stand or function.
Let me just interrupt you for a second. So, are you talking about breaks? Or are you talking about bows?
We call them arches.
Arches, yeah.
Like that thing that was been around
where they're stuck in the ground at the bottom.
Yeah, they're just hanging over like this in the curve.
Interesting.
Called arches or portals, and that's what Are we saying like? Smoking gun, this is a portal that leads you to a different dimension to find the Sasquatch. No. But we just call them portals because it's like the easy way.
They're asking about Elvis, Taylor.
Y'all go ahead. I'll show
it. But yeah, so, we've gotten zapped a few times and we don't know why.
Elvis is holding our footprint. We can use that picture because that's his military photo, so it's public record.
Yeah.
Good, because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube.
So. No, we're and trust me, it's very tasteful on top of it. So
So you go under it, and you said you'll get sick, or what else happens?
The term is, we call it zapped, like David.
Zapped. Okay, yeah, we talked about that here.
It happens to me more so than it does the others. And not that I was glad that it happened to Toby, but when it did happen to Toby, I wasn't there and he was having some of the same issues that I was having before it, it just finally took it. I alluded to earlier, Jim, these things pick up on frequencies. Everybody has their own aura, their own vibration, and some are stronger than others. And for whatever reason, I just feel like I pick up on certain things, and I know they pick up on me. And I'm not going to go into great detail. I went to a friend's house this past weekend and did an impromptu investigation. And I knew when I pulled up and stepped up on the porch from just how I was feeling. I said, the moment we start, it's going to hit. And brother, it did. So that's for a later show.
Maybe you're psychic, David. Who knows?
No. I'll be the first to dispel it. I'm not psychic.
Hey, so
if I were, I'd already won the lottery.
Let's use the word sensitive. Well,
sensitive, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure that psychics. If a psychic could do that, they would have done it 100 years ago. What they sense, and use whatever terminology you want, psychic, sensitive, intuitive, but the things they sense to me are not things that you can turn into money or something. They're things that are about people. They're about people.
It's a gift.
It's a gift.
We all share a friend that she by far, I mean, if anybody's made me a believer to that world, it's Amy. And she is one of the best I've ever been involved with. And she has called me on stuff and been spot on with stuff that she feels or senses and sees during filming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it'll blow your mind. So again, that's another show.
And in their spare time, she's got a little shop with a crystal ball in it and some tarot cards.
No, she doesn't do that, but she does use her gift to help people. And I admire her for that.
But see, with Amy, we could be on a live stream and she'll start commenting, hey, something behind you, I feel this. And it's like spot on to what we're experiencing in the moment.
Yep.
And there's even videos where, we're filming a normal video. So obviously it's not going to be available for the public to see until we get the editing process put out. So like she'll call or text David or one of us in the middle of the investigation while we're filming it privately and be like, hey, what's up? I feel something going on around you. and it's spot on.
And she's doing it to help you because she's.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
a protector, yes.
And I wish I had that gift. I don't, but I really wish I did.
Same. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I would like it, and sometimes I don't know if it'd be a gift or a curse.
Well, there's times I'm sure it feels like both, but I'm sure y'all are the same way. I've seen and heard and felt so many weird things that I don't even talk about. I don't talk about it on this podcast, or I rarely talk about it with other people because Bigfoot's crazy enough, but then you start talking about some things, and it's like, okay, now you lost me because, this is so far out there that, and I talk to people who say things and I think, dude, there's hospitals for people like you. So, it's just, I can't explain any of it really, but I'm sure y'all have seen these things enough times that you think, okay, this is not a one-off thing. There's something to this. Like you getting responses on your spirit box. Well, explain a spirit box to those who don't understand what that is. What's the concept there?
Jump in here, Taylor.
Oh, so a spirit box, what we use is called a polterpod.
Polterpod? Interesting.
Yeah, it scans a static frequency. It just pulls static frequencies nonstop, scans them at like 10 times. I mean, it's like
scanning radio frequencies.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's scanning different frequencies.
Yeah,
Going up in AM channel frequencies, and it's looping them over and over and over.
And then we'll take it, I'll fire it up at my house and I don't get anything.
Yeah.
But we'll take it in these areas that are supposedly haunted or in our woods, and we'll start asking questions, and this thing will pull words out and answer us back immediately. And everyone knows there's no cussing on a regular FM AM radio. They bleep it all out. We were on one of our investigations where we found these big dog prints, and I think it was Toby who asked a question, and it called one of our moms a bitch. So it's like,
really,
it first said your mom to a question. It responded to your mom, then it says, and then
what? You just get words pulled like that, and it blows. It's awesome. I think that dabbles into dancing with the devil a little bit to me, but I try not to use it as much as I.
And you may be right, Taylor. Who knows? But what's bizarre is that it's just static, and yet these words clear words. I mean, I've listened to them before, and they goes, and you're like, what? But some of y'all's shows, it comes out and it gives an answer to a question that I'm thinking that there's no way that's a random frequency.
No, and it happens really good when David touches it. I don't know why. It said his daughter's name in one of our investigations, and that's when he got weak and
that's the one I'm telling you about, Jim. If you go back and watch that video,
Taylor, I'm glad you brought that up about David, because if it's not on camera, we've experienced it where we've had the polterpod. Taylor, Toby, or I'll be holding it, and it's giving some feedback frequency, and we're asking questions. We're getting something back, but then we'll hand off to David, and as soon as David touches it, it goes from to. I mean, the vibration, energy, and frequency just increase tenfold when David touches it.
And who can explain that? But I've noticed several videos where you're the one holding it, David, and for better or worse, if one of you gets more response, I'd give it to him for sure.
Yeah. That's something good with our group. None of us are really camera hogs or
right.
Man, if there's activity happening, it's happening with somebody, we're filming them.
When it comes to Squatch Watchers, Toby's not here right now, but Toby's represented through us.
Sure.
And that'd be the same with one of us if we weren't here on camera right now with you in this awesome podcast. We would still be represented by whoever was representing the Squatch Watchers. So when you think of Squatch Watchers, it's really David, Taylor, Toby, and I. I mean, we're all four equally in it, and we're not in it for money. We're here to have fun. We're here to learn. We're here to engage with people and meet as many people as we can, and see what happens and see if we can find Bigfoot and the answers to what we're talking about.
And that comes across in your videos that y'all are good friends. Nobody's trying to hog the spotlight. But you've got not so open that our brains fall out. But
I love that name, by the way, Air Force One. That's it.
Air Force One.
I
Yeah,
love that.
that's an awesome name.
I love that.
That name does not apply to me, but
All right, here, yes.
my Air Force has flown away. But yeah, I mean, who can explain all this? And what I appreciate is that y'all are willing to at least try stuff and see if it works, even if you don't.
Yes, you are absolutely right. I have an electric personality.
But
Well,
your point about trying stuff, we get a lot of flack and criticism from it.
Yeah,
Sure.
Not from everyone, but certain areas in this community. And it's just like, we're here to have fun with it. We're here to try new things. We like to be known as the game changers. We're not here to play the game. We're here to change the game.
Amen. That's right.
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
Credibility is what we want to bring to the table.
100%.
Have y'all ever experienced the hitchhiker effect, where something seems to follow you home?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought it up, and we won't spend a lot of time on it, but I have to be very careful. And I believe because of my frequency, and that's how I'll characterize it, you can bring things home that you don't want and you don't know about.
Yeah.
My pastor has been very supportive at our church. He doesn't poke fun. He's actually helped me through scripture to give me advice and warnings of some things to stay away from.
Which is really unusual. I'm sure you know.
Case in point, we were invited to go to an investigation out of state, and I politely told the guys we have no business being there, and I didn't go. And the guys will tell you now, I think they will. They probably wish they'd have stayed home. So,
100%.
Oh, interesting. Just because you just got a feeling about that one, or
no? So and again, I can't spend a lot of time on it because you don't want to give things power that don't deserve it. Okay, Christ has all power over me, and they have to remember that. But I've lived through some experiences that I really wish that I hadn't went through. Yeah. But it does give me the strength to be able to tell people, a lot of we go to a lot of cons and people like, when I'm like, okay, look, if you don't know what you're doing, don't get involved.
Yeah.
And don't do anything until you spend the proper time in prayer to make sure that you have the guidance to have things revealed that you don't know now. And we believe because of our connection and our relationship with Christ, we are allowed to have things revealed unto us. We have had experiences a lot of people don't have, but it's because we approach it with a Christ-like heart. We don't poke fun, and some doors have been opened for us to experience some things, but we have to be careful we don't leave that door open when we leave. Gotcha. And it's a very scary subject, and I it's my warning to everyone. It only looks like fun and games on TV because some of the TV stuff is probably a little scripted.
Right.
Okay. And so it's a lot more fun to watch because they don't have a lot to worry about when the cameras turn off.
But it was
totally different with us. So thank you to the women out there that saw and helped me and reached out to me. Everybody, if they see this, they'll know. I've had women from Kentucky, all across the Midwest United States and Florida reach out and tell me exactly what was going on. And I cried on their shoulders, and they really helped me rid myself of some unwanted luggage. Thank you.
Wow. Amen to that. There was one other video I wanted to ask you guys about, and we'll start to wrap it up here in a second, but I could talk to you guys all night, honestly. So, because I really feel that in many ways we think alike, and I find that sometimes, but not always, in the Bigfoot world. And
exactly, refreshing.
And that's when I find that, I tend to be drawn to people like that. So, but you guys had a case where somebody's dog got attacked by something and had its eye kind of almost torn out. And tell us that story. I didn't have time to get that video, and it's kind of gruesome too. So I'd rather y'all just talk about it than show it. But
go ahead, Taylor, get on it.
Man,
get on it.
So this is another one of those investigations where the person didn't want to be on camera, so it's hard to kind of film around it. But the dog, He told us the whole story about the dog, and the dog has 2 bite marks that are about, I mean, they were pretty far apart. That like canine, I guess, teeth had bit into it, and its eye had been tore out. David can get more into that because he knows that backstory more. He kind of just called me last minute. Was like, hey man, you want to go?
Yep. This individual lives up in the brushy mountains, upper North Wilkesboro, and dirt road. I mean, when we got to where we were going, we're thinking there's no life back here. And then all of a sudden there was this little bitty community, no cell signal whatsoever. It was a rough, now these people were good as gold.
Sure.
Very, very credible. The ones who don't want to go on camera sometimes are your most credible. But one of the most reasons is this guy has a background in the military, and he doesn't want people to know anything about him and what he's done. Because when he stepped out, he was in full tactical assault gear. And that's how scared he was.
Wow.
So when we went that particular night, we didn't find, like immediate right there, Johnny on the spot evidence. But what we did find is credible evidence that something had been on his property large and had clearly had tree breaks and markings and things to kind of say, hey, this is your side of the property. This is my side of the property. As long as we don't cross over, everything will be fine. And I think his dogs were just out running and got caught up in a situation where they were probably chasing one of the little juvenile Sasquatches, and Mama Sasquatch had watched this. And that was the end of that. But the dog survived. He was maimed up pretty good, but the dog did survive.
There's something about dogs that when I've done gifting in our area, and we put little toy horses, they'll take them. They'll take other stuff. We put a dog out there, a toy dog, they throw it on the ground. Like they just don't even like a toy dog. And I don't. Maybe it's because dogs sense them and alert people to them when they don't want to be alerted, or. I mean, I don't know if y'all have any theories, but they just don't like dogs, and they kill them. And I've heard many stories of them killing them. So
I wish they didn't like cats. I'd bring them a couple of cats.
Yeah, there you go. Who knows? Because people don't have their cats out in the yard chained up. But you gonna say
that's my problem right now. These cats are in my yard. So.
Go for it.
Listen, I don't know. And, again, we have gifted quite a bit. And now we're kind of, we've been told politely we probably shouldn't be gifting because that opens up a form of worship. If it is in the realm of a fallen angel, then you could be giving yourself up to idolatry. And I'm going, okay, these are things I never thought of. But they have left us so many gifts, so many markings, and I'm in the way of, for us, it's primarily rocks.
Okay.
And I mean, sometimes they're as big as a wash tub. Other times they could be as big as your thumb. But brother, we have had some big rocks left for us.
Right. I mean, right there where it's obvious that it was not
there. Where they shouldn't be and in the way.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, you must feel like I do sometimes. You kind of think you're getting stuff figured out, and then they go and do something. You're like, I don't get that at all. I don't get that at all.
Yep.
I mean, totally out of left field somehow. And
just when you think you figured them out,
yeah. What was the most bizarre thing they ever left for you?
Probably a smashed up Coke bottle.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're in mind, Taylor, a twisted up Coke bottle,
like a plastic.
Yeah. That led to a glow stick.
Besides rock.
That led to a glow stick that we left. That led to footprints.
Yeah.
So the week before, and I'll try to do this real quick, Jim. The week before, it was in the first week in February. No. Third week in January. We went down. And we put a big, like a gallon or 2 gallon jar of popcorn tied to a tree.
Okay.
Like an old Mount Olive pickle jar, if you will. 6 foot, 7 foot off the ground, tied really good. I mean, you're going to have some intelligence to get this thing down. Then we went on down about a half a mile, and we used the glow necklaces to hang a 12-ounce Coke bottle in a tree. And just Pepsi and popcorn's what's in my brain. I wanted to see if it'd work. We go back the following week. It is 19 degrees outside. Something has, scratched the lid off where it got it open, and all the popcorn was gone. And we thought, okay, that's interesting, but all right.
Other animals could maybe do that. Yeah.
Other things could have done that. So then we make our way to the Coke bottle, and there's only one glow necklace hanging in the tree. And then obviously it's not glowing at this point. But down in the woods and, 20, 30 feet away, we find the Coke bottle. Now, this thing is completely sealed. It's, we didn't untwist it or anything. Whatever got this Coke bottle looked like it broke the cap, stuck it up to its mouth, and went and sucked all the Coke out of it and vacuumed. It just vacuumed out all the air. And it wasn't twisted up, crumpled. It was like sucked vacuum tight shut.
Vacuum
and just threw it.
Wow.
And just threw it down. I thought, okay. So the group that was with us, I was cold. I did not want to walk down to the river. I wanted to go back to the cabin.
And
they said, look, we're this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The guy that begged us to keep going is the one that's always back in the house.
Yeah.
He's right here. Yeah.
So he talks us into going down to the river, Jim. We get down to the river, and I apologize to everybody on the video if you go back and watch it. And we have found several Bigfoot prints. Okay. This is our best ever to cast. And I had a word pop into my vocabulary that I couldn't quit saying, and it starts with an F and ends with a uck. And I couldn't quit saying it, and I apologize to everyone. I really do. But not only did we find that print, beside of that left footprint was the other glow necklace laying in the sand next to it that was hanging in the tree, and it was broke open. It wasn't together as a band. It was broke open. And then the right footprint is half of a print stepping into the Henry River in 19-degree weather. And this river at this time was at least 6-7 foot deep.
And it's bare. Obviously, you could see toes and all that.
Oh,
absolutely. And if you'll shoot me your address, Jim,
yep,
I will bubble wrap this footprint. We'll all autograph it, and we'll sign it, and we'll send it to you. You can put it up in your museum. We'll send you a nice picture to go with it. It is our best Bigfoot print to date, and
I would love that.
And it's it's incredible. What an experience! And the videos, it's up there for everybody to watch. This is all on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I think that video is called "We Find Two Bigfoot Prints" or something like that.
What was the clickbait you used on that one?
David loses his religion.
Yeah. God.
So Taylor, I'm watching that picture behind you to see if it goes crooked again.
Man, it's been bothering me ever since I've been taking it down. I'm like, oh, because people that just join it, they're gonna be like, oh, this idiot's got a crooked.
Why does that guy keep looking the back at his? Yeah,
he really likes Elvis.
That's an awesome wall behind you, Taylor. I'm jealous. I want one just like it for my house now.
We're up here.
Kind of the wall of fame. There you go.
Yeah, and there's the con that we did.
Ron Morehead's in one of them.
Yeah.
No, not in these. I haven't hung that one up.
Oh,
yet.
Well, hang on.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's Ron Morehead.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
he's on the other side. Yeah. But so about clickbait too.
And I'm just messing with you guys.
No, you're good, man. But
we love it.
Technically though, and this ain't to you because gosh, we get aggravated about it all the time. But technically, isn't every Bigfoot video clickbait?
Sure.
To one
degree or another, yeah.
Yeah, it's like to a degree. But we have to do we got to come up with all these different titles. My Lord, there's 700.
Well, let's give a quick tutorial for all those aspiring YouTubers out there, podcasts, videos, blogs, whatever you want to do. If you're going to make a YouTube channel and you're going to post YouTube videos and you want people to watch and like those videos and subscribe to your channel,
to get a new crowd in.
Then you want to be interesting. You want to have a good video.
What?
You want to be interesting in it. And most importantly, you want an interesting thumbnail and a very catchy, interesting title. If you don't do that, then why are you even doing it in the first place?
Yeah.
That's how we look at it.
That's
so
why
in
I
a
called this
way, everybody
podcast
does that.
Southern Fried Bigfoot.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
In a way, any successful person or anybody that gets any amount of views on YouTube or any social media platform, you're clickbaiting because you want people to watch your stuff.
Mhm.
We would lie to you if we didn't want people to watch our stuff. Then why are we going to put it up? Like YouTube, like anybody wants people to watch stuff.
Yeah, and again, we didn't starting out. Man, now we've grown to like, God, it's grown a lot really recently for us.
You got a ton of followers. A ton.
Yes, and they love it, and that's what we're known for, and we love what we do. We love going out Bigfoot and bringing it to people that aren't able to get out and do this. Like that's the whole reason we started putting it on there. It's like, hey, let's start a YouTube and let's see what people think of our videos, and then eventually Tate's like, hey, well, let's post other people's videos on our shorts and give our people stuff to look at while we're not in the woods. And man, we do it just for people that aren't able to get out there, and we bring because now the people we've met at cons that roll up in wheelchairs, and it brings tears to their eyes because they're like, we live through you guys.
Hey, and, I hear you.
When we were go ahead.
No, that's why we do it. We love it.
Doesn't that bless you when something like that happens?
Oh, 100%. Amen to that. Yeah.
When we were doing the local television station before they sold it and changed the programming, a lot of the viewers were elderly. And they, when we would meet, we would just be in Walmart and they would bump into it. Oh my God, we have adventures because you bring it to us every Friday,
You're their superstars, man. I'm telling you.
It made us feel wonderful. And so the YouTube channel just lets us, the extension reach out far beyond what we ever thought we'd be capable of. So,
and we get to meet people like you.
And absolutely.
A great guy. Now we have a friend in Colorado.
Exactly.
You bet. And I have to give credit to my buddy Wayne Wasika because Wayne was the one that found you. Once I found you,
great taste.
I was hooked on it. Yeah, he does. But I will say that now that there's AI, the fact that every YouTube video shows a picture that's nowhere, anywhere close to being in that video.
Yes, and
that's the people. Y'all are not true clickbait because what you talk about in the title, the video is about that. All right.
Yes.
So it's not like you're talking about, the great headline of the great picture.
Yeah.
But it's just, to one degree or another, we're all clickbaiting, but I hope that we're giving people real content. And I think you guys are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't have you on if I thought you were a bunch of charlatans. So
thank you. It means a lot.
Man, people look at us and they're like, man, these guys are cocky. But when they finally meet us in person, we're just how we are on video.
Sure.
We try to be friendly and nice and
Well, tell everyone how they can find y'all because I want to make sure you get some new listeners and followers and watchers. So
Squatch Watchers. They can just go to YouTube and type in Squatch Watchers. It's going to pull up one of the three of our faces, and I'll just click. Please hit subscribe, and like I tell everybody, buckle up and enjoy because you're in for an adventure.
And if you do like these Elvis pictures, Tate and I come up with this idea, and we will have them at the Marion Bigfoot Festival on May 18th. And we will not be. I will be giving some away. We're not in it to make money, so there you go.
and should your travels ever bring you out west, would love to have you in Colorado. Would love to have a meeting and let people come meet you.
That would be awesome.
I'll take you out in the woods and
So speaking our language
I feel like I've got 3 new buddies here. So
awesome. I'm ready for Colorado now, guys.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. And I'm totally
you
serious.
Come to North Carolina.
You bet. Yeah. And if I get over that way, I'll be in Arkansas. But I won't have time to go over to North Carolina. But the closest I went through North Carolina because I went out to visit David Becerra at the Bigfoot Museum in Georgia, Cherry Log, Georgia. And which is a fantastic museum if nobody's been there. But Listen, this has been so much fun for me. I mean, seriously, I could talk to you guys all night, and I look forward to the opportunity when we're in the same place, if we're ever at a conference together or something like that. We're going to get together in one of our rooms, and we're just going to talk and tell stories.
Gosh,
So,
yeah.
Rock and roll.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, so we're actually going to end up starting our own like little side project, like podcast. So you'll have to come on and talk with us on ours sometime.
Oh, you bet, man.
On
I'd be
everything,
happy
too.
to. I'd be honored.
Yeah.
I'd be honored.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm gonna let our folks go. We've taken a bunch of time, but I think they've enjoyed it based on the comments I've been seeing. So
Wonderful.
you guys are entertaining, but you're entertaining in an honest way. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you. Means a lot.
You're just good guys. So
Thank you. You are too. Thank you.
and for our crowd, I hope we don't get snowed in over here in Bailey, Colorado. We'll see what happens tonight and tomorrow. But and I've got a great show planned for next week. So until next Tuesday night, keep on squatching. And thank you guys again for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.